So technically, architects shape the cities. We shape the cities, we shape the future, we shape the entire infrastructure. So any built form where you live has to have a quality in it. You need to enjoy that space. So to enjoy a space, comfort comes inside it. And the comfort has to be done properly. There are some parameters which to make that comfort lively.
What was your most interesting project you remember, and what was that unique thing about it which make you very interested in that, and how it happened? If you could talk about it.
One project is Miraj Nagar. That was a huge challenge for us because the client was big enough. And the biggest problem is he was trusting me like anything. And this is something new, it's not so easy. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So what we do is like we try to take some things which we try to show it in a new way rather ऐसा नहीं कि वो है ही नहीं, but we try to show it in a new way.
Walk into any building or someone's friend's place or something and you say that no, I don't think so that it's correct, or I think this is missing. So I think
I'm fascinated with a lot of structures of Udaipur as it is. I mean, when first time I saw Udaipur, I was amazed with city palace.
Hello and welcome to the new episode of Podcast with Inspiro. Today we have another interesting topic with us, the stories behind the design, and in which we'll be talking about basically architecture and how that architecture plays a very vital role in our life. And who to talk about this in the best way, we have Venu Gopal sir with us. So sir, thank you so much for staying connected with us, and we'll be talking about a lot of stuff in here, and I hope that people will be liking it. So welcome sir. Hello sir and welcome to the podcast. So we have decided the topic that we'll be talking about is designs, structures and designs behind the architecture and everything. So basically we would like to know that we see a monument, we see a building, we see everything, and we just say that wow, what a building this is, or what a structure that is, but we don't know the vision, the you can say hard work, or you can say the concept behind that structure. So firstly we would like to know that what is architecture to you? How do you define it in your terms?
Architecture is, there are a lot of definitions for architecture, but generally हम first year college में ये सिखाया architecture is the mother of all arts. Secondly, it is 50% science and 50% art. It's basically 50% technology with 50% artistic logic with it. That's how architecture is done. Generally, it is generally dealt with the built form, right? So whatever built form you see is generally done by architects or civil engineers or whoever who builds. If God designs the entire nature, architects or any other builders or developers does the rest. Okay. So technically, architects shape the cities. We shape the cities, we shape the future, we shape the entire infrastructure. So where we live and the quality of life, what we're getting is basically from these buildings only, right? We stay at a home, we work at a place. It's basically a shelter. Anything which is covered shelter in a built form is to be designed. Now, earlier, if you really define architecture, earlier it was caves. The पुरानी लोग caves में रहते थे. Then धीरे-धीरे बड़े-बड़े palaces बनने लगा. Palaces have come to modern structures, very minimalistic. So technically people change. People needs variations. Whether it is cultural things, whether it is architectural things, whatever it is, a lot of other factors which come into it. Generally what happens is the built form changes. If you see a building which is 1,000 years back, the design logic is entirely different. At that point of time, at that point of scenario, the culture is different, the living styles are different, the cultural aspects are different. Now the technology has taken out and a lot of other things are poured into the life. So people need variations. We wanted change. Everybody needs changes. Okay, so with respect to that, building changes. And now that as far as the definition is concerned, any built form where you live has to have a quality in it. You need to enjoy that space. So to enjoy a space, comfort comes inside it. And the comfort has to be done properly. There are some parameters which to make that comfort lively. See, for example, if for example, as a layman, I can just take normal language and समझा देता हूँ. Everybody knows Aishwarya is a beautiful girl. Why? Now see, if I ask you a question, she is beautiful, everybody will say yes. Now, but why say why? And people will think why. There is a particular mathematical ratio which has to fit into it. I mean, we call it as a golden rectangle. Everything in the world comes into that sort of rectangle, that sort of ratio. When there are some things which जैसा अपनी इतनी शक्ल में इतनी नाक करके there is a ratio. ये ratio अपन properly set होता है, वो visually pleasing हो जाता है. It looks nice. That looks nice has some mathematical parameter behind it. That is how beauty comes into effect. Then beauty with a bit of technology added, and that turning into built form is what architecture is. You can say it is a very artificial deformation of plan. Fine, whatever naturally God has given, anything artificial which is being done by man-made built form is what architecture is. So you can define any number of definitions, but any built form which looks nice and is very feel good to live in is a wonderful structure. Then there are a lot of technologies behind it, how the structure is made, all this, and that are the technical aspects. But with respect to beauty and basic architecture, this is what it is.
Perfect. I think I remember one example of my drawing teacher that whatever you are making, make it in symmetry or make it in a way that it looks from the left and right side like equally good. So it will be pleasing for the eye. So I can relate that to that example. In simpler words, if we can say about things. So that's perfect. As you mentioned that it's science and art together. So I would like to know that how it all started for you. When did you realize that, okay, I think I'm gonna make my career in this, or how those things happened with you, and if you could just give us any insight about it.
It was all destiny, I think, because it was never a thought process. My brother and my parents actually forced me to go into architecture. They expected that this should be a wonderful subject, and I was good in drawings in my younger time. So they thought, this thing will be good for him. So that's how it started. Then I was a topper in the entrance exam. So when you top something, you feel good. So and people are calling you for the college. So you please join our college. That gives a sort of different kick altogether. That's how it started. The journey started, and then obviously the rest all followed. It was not a planned thing, definitely, but it was destiny. I'm happy with it, and the subject is a wonderful subject. There's no doubt about it. And in this subject, what you learn is like you have a lot of life experiences. You learn a lot of different technologies. And like a doctor, an architect has to be an expertise in a lot of other subjects. With respect to human resources, with respect to basic psyche of the people, with respect to the requirement changes, a lot of things comes into it. So that's an experience for us. And definitely, I was happy with the field which.
That's great, and I think people of Udaipur are also happy that. Perfect, sir. So, if you could talk about that, you have obviously done a lot of projects and everything. So, I would like to know that what was your most interesting project you remember, and what was that unique thing about it which make you very interested in that, and how it happened. If you could talk about that.
See, that's a tough question because every project of yours, we try to give the best of their efforts, right? Every client is individually, they create us a question, they impose us a question, we have to answer it properly, right? By doing it so, sometimes you feel sort of challenge coming to you in some projects. There are 3-4 projects which really come into my mind. One was in Zanzibar. We designed a hotel for Carlson. That was a very challenging project because the reason, one is it had an international project that was in Africa. Obviously all foreign resources, foreign locations, and people were foreign. Nothing was with respect to our own style of doing it. So we have to really adapt to the situation and adapting to a lot of other local things which are prevailing there. Then the sort of architecture style which they are expecting from us. Then the discipline what they are. The group is so very disciplined. And in India, we are more relaxed when we are doing a project. I mean, we make friends with our clients. There it is more of professionalism. Then a lot of other project management challenges were there. and it was exactly in front of a sea. There were a lot of cyclones every and then the fifth day it was raining heavily. So in that conditions, we have to make a project very fast, and keeping staff there, it was altogether a very different experience for me. And you need to prove a point also, because that was a competition project which we won. So you really need to, we have won a competition, but to actually, to be at that place, and we should make them feel that you have taken the right decision. You need to give a best of your abilities. You have to work. And when we are at the office, we can make people work in a different way. But at an international level of project, your thought process is totally different. We are doing it for the first time. That too for a huge company. And obviously, that is very challenging. That was one I could remember it. Secondly, my office building. Although it's a very small project, but when you're making your own office, you are your own client. So requirements are a bit different. You don't know whether you're doing right or wrong. And at the end, people will obviously judge you. And this is your office. You'll be judged with respect to the way you design your office. Although it does not matter much, but still there is always a back thought. And people will definitely judge you. At the same time, whatever I've learned in my college, when it is your own project, you try to experiment a bit. Obviously, you do try to do different things. I tried a lot. We failed in some things and we excelled in some things. Yeah, but luckily the project went well. We have got a Pulsing award for it, for a sustainable this thing. It was a very economical office, very sustainable green practice were done. A lot of experimentation were done, which that gives satisfaction to you. That's one building which satisfies my own architectural hunger. That is one thing. One project is Miraj Ka Ghar. That was a huge challenge for us because the client was big enough, and the biggest problem is he was trusting me like anything. When somebody trusts you like anything, then your responsibility improves like tenfold. It's not easy to make somebody very happy when he is trusting me so much, and whatever I was asking, he was giving it. So when everything is so very easy, it's become tougher for you. And because of such a nice client, it takes a real guts and to impress him with your project and the way it has to be constructed. Obviously, in that project also we failed a lot in a lot of aspects, but I've learned a lot from that project, and I made him happy in the end. And that was one of his favorite projects. He liked it. I could make him happy to a certain extent. I made him angry also in certain extents. But yeah, that was very challenging for me. In some aspects, we failed in some things, but they are all very close to my heart. One project was Mr.Venu Gopal's resort, Royal Retreat, because that was my first major project, which has to be done at a very high speed. We almost did 55 to 60,000 square feet in 6 months. This includes interiors of the building. And I was working myself up to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the night. And the client was so good. He was very happy at the same time, giving a lot of challenges to us. So these things, I could relate these things. Although we have done enough of a lot of other projects, but these 4 things are coming to my brain right now.
I think those projects which you just mentioned, I was just imagining. Firstly, you mentioned about Africa and the project which you were there about with your team and everything. I think it would be a really challenging thing, but also the learning curve will be, I think, very great over there when you manage that project and everything. So I think that sounds really interesting about all those 4 projects, and I think that's really great. My next question is about our topic, which I'm going to discuss, is that every time we have a guest here for different profession, we ask them that how they relate their profession to their general life, or the general life to their profession. For example, what you have learned from architecture, you can integrate in your life, or talk about similarities about the profession and your life. If you could give us any insight about that.
See, architecture itself is a very creative profession. Fine. So, you, after a lot of practice, you imbibe that sort of set mentality into your own life. Okay. You need to be creative. You need to be inventive. You need to take a lot of new things into your life. Okay. When you are doing a project, it needs to look different, at the same time nice. So you need to study a lot, because in architecture or interior designing, in any design field to that matter, there are a lot of new technologies and new adaptable things which are coming every day. New materials are pouring into it. So you need to learn a lot about those. And sometimes you'll be successful, sometimes you're not, because you might like a material, but that might not be a very durable material for a long time. Okay, so when you use it and you might fail, sometimes it might look beautiful at the same time, it might be not a very durable material. Down the line, we understand that you fail in something. So doing like this for some years, you understand a sort of different logic comes to your mind. Okay, this by experience you get it whether this is good or bad. Okay, so that sort of adaptability technology is coming into your own body. Okay, that is one thing which I could see. And yes, your daily routine changes, the way you see things change. Because if I go to a movie, I see the buildings behind and my friends are watching the hero heroine. So they get a bit sort of irritated with me when they're watching movies with me. Any of my friends, my family, they always used to say, "Man, you watch buildings rather than the movie." Karke. So that is one thing which was never in my earlier life. I was a big movie buff. But later on, I see movies for the sort of. I mean, today itself, I was watching a YouTube video and I was watching a resort which is being designed. So your lifestyle changes. You're always into buildings, how to build a new build, how to get into new build form, what is the technology which are coming. So that things comes into your mind. You get into sync with those sort of creative things. That's what is happening. Even I make my own house, I see how different I can make my own house. It should be different from others, using different techniques at the same time, not to fail. It's not easy. I mean, see, for example, you ask your, I don't know whether you're married or not, you ask your wife, okay, fine, to make something new, which abhi tak kabhi koi kiya hi nahi. That takes her a lot of problem, because to invent something or to do something new is not so easy. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So what we do is like we try to take some things which we try to show it in a new way. Rather, ऐसा नहीं कि वो है ही नहीं, but we try to show it in a new way. For example, Udaipur is full of palaces. Okay, when I make a residence, I need to get a character of that palace's architecture, palatial architecture into my building. So I try to take one element of it and I try to put it in a different way, maybe in a small changing the proportions or changing the texture. So I try to get that sort of thing. See, जैसे बिंदी यहाँ रखो, बिंदी लगना चाहिए. तो you need to maintain a character. So these things come to your things. Basically, एक imbibe आ ही जाता है. आप basic you get that change slowly when you're practicing a lot. That's what happens.
Absolutely. I think मैं पूछने भी वाला था. It was that question in my mind that when you walk into any building or someone friend's place or one thing and you say that no, I don't think so that it's correct or I think this missing. So I think very critical.
आज ही हम लोग एक coffee shop गए थे. There were 3 arches. I got a sitting there. I said one of the arches is wrong. So this is one mindset which sometimes good for the people who are into the design field. Sometimes irritates others. We generally have an eye of seeing the wrong things in the buildings, but most of the architects, which is not a very good habit, but I think most of the habits have it. Most of the architects have this habit of either criticizing it or taking out some wrong thing in that building. We don't talk about the good things of the building. We definitely have that sort of, we have a crack there. This is a bit not in the level. Maybe this arch is not right. Maybe this is not proportionate. ऐसे चीजें निकल ही जाती हैं, which I try to avoid it, but the basic character comes out.
But I think that helps as well when you see flaws.
It helps out, but not very good when you are in a group. Yeah, and then it irritates some people. It's not a good habit, but it's a part of the body.
It's great that you have an eye about it. So I always wanted to know that as an architecture, always what you have built will be close to you and you will be very much into it. But I would like to know that what all other structures you like in anywhere in the world or anywhere you have been a lot, and that fascinates you. Okay,
I am fascinated with a lot of structures of Udaipur as it is. I mean, when first time I saw Udaipur, I was amazed with City Palace. I see, what design they have done, the way they have planned it. It's beautiful. Then I had been to Kangarghat times. the elements of architecture what they've used. It was very surprising for me when I saw it for the first time. When I came to Udaipur, long time back, it was surprising for me what type of architecture we have. So beautiful things. When it comes to Udaipur, I've traveled a lot in the world, but I've seen a lot of buildings. Every country has something in their own. So a lot of buildings have really fascinated me. But to my mind, I got inspired by one of the buildings called Falling Waters, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, one of my favorite architects. I am amazed by the way he has designed it. Still, it's a masterpiece. It was done long back, but still, it's a masterpiece. It stands out. I still sketch that building. Whenever I see it, I sketch it. So that's the impact that building has on me. Yeah, there are a lot of buildings which are there, but that building is one thing which stands out for me particularly. When I always get goosebumps when I see that building. Again, I come back and I always check myself. I'm doing nothing. When I see that building, I see, I need to grow myself. And I get that inspiration from him. And I need to grow more and be more bigger and see things more innovative.
Perfect. I think that's great to know that, as you mentioned, that यहाँ का जो structure है उदयपुर का, that also fascinates you, that कैसे build किया हुआ है and everything. Because for example, I'm from here only, so I've grown up in the city, so it doesn't fascinates me that much that okay, we have a beautiful structure. But somewhat my friends जब वो बाहर से आते हैं and then they say that okay, तूने ये देखा है, have you watched this? And then my
beautiful. I mean, I've seen enough of the world, but there's nothing like one of the best places I've ever seen. If you can maintain it properly and if things are maintained properly with respect to a lot of things. I mean, people are working in a lot of smart cities, but I expect people to be more smarter with respect to what they're doing. But every architect has some responsibility on him. Whatever he makes has to have the beauty sense with it. It should go with the city. The character of the city should not change. These things can, every architect sees into it. There's nothing like that. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and I'm happy that I'm living here.
That's great. So my next question is about Udaipur only, that as you are into this field, so I would like to know that is there any scope or option for young persons who are in architecture or about to start their career in this field over here? So yeah, would like to know about your opinion on this.
Lot. I mean, there are a lot of budding architects coming now, and I'm very happy. The new generation of architects who are coming into the field are really exciting. They're doing wonderful. They're very smart. I think I always say they're smarter than us, and they have better software experience. They are more exposed. They're more technologically advanced, and they are more into the new materials. And I think budding architects are wonderful. I mean, I myself are in talks with a lot of people. I see my staff. A lot of young architects come into my office. And they're but I should not say that they're good, because as a teacher I should never say that, but they're really wonderful. They are doing wonderful. I see maybe the intelligent quotient is a bit low, but the smartness quotient is more than what we have. We are not that smart. This is what I feel. The younger generation architects are more smart than us. That's what I feel. And then there's a lot of thing which is coming into it, because Udaipur itself. I have a small story, because a lot of trainees come to my office. I used to think, I almost get 400 to 500 applications every year, every 6 months. And I take 4 to 5 trainees. I used to ask them, I'm not that big firm in India. We are an okay firm and we are okay. We are doing well in Udaipur. But with respect to national this thing, we are doing okay. We are not that big. But my application forms, I was surprised why so many. But then I came to know people wanted to come to Udaipur for the reason they want to see the city. First thing, nothing of my greatness. It's because the city is beautiful, they wanted to stay here. Secondly, wherever they go, they'll be obviously learning the architectural techniques and the trade secrets of every architect. But the extra ammunition what they get from Udaipur is the traditional architecture, the Mewadi architecture here, which is there in Udaipur. They'll have a first-hand experience with that. They'll be obviously learning everything here. They'll be seeing the best of the buildings, best of the traditional buildings. So the modern architecture, what they have, plus the traditional aspects, what they're getting. is what the getting that they are getting it. That's the sort of package they are getting it. Then obviously, me myself, I'm also good enough. So this is the thing why I'm getting so many applications. I'm happy that I'm in this city because with respect to because we never have a staff problem. Because a lot of trainees come to us, they're learning with respect to everything. So which is a good thing. So that is one thing I wanted to tell.
I think perfect. So people who are watching, please send more applications to sir so that might get a chance to work there, and be patient as well. Perfect, sir. So there's a misconception about three things in general who are not related to architecture or not very you can say well versed about these things. So one is architecture, one is interior designing, and one is civil engineering. So people sort of mix those things that these things are one together, or what's the difference, they don't know about it. For example, if I am not into these kind of field, I'm for a different field. For example, I'm a sportsman. I didn't know about any of these things. So from your perspective, can you explain us that what's the difference between these three things?
Yes, it's like their character is the same. एक पेरेंट्स का तीन बच्चे हैं वैसे मान लो all three are they look same but they are not the same. Okay, all are related to building but they're not the same because an architect is designing and planning the building. He is trying to get the space quality into a building form. That's what he is trying to get it. A structural engineer or a civil engineer is trying to either make it, the implement the building, or do the structure of the building. He is giving the skeleton. Yes, an architect is like I'm trying to give the external form. The person, the skeleton, the bones are the civil engineer, and the nerves are the interior design. Right? The outside skin is architecture. This is how we can just for a layman. But architecture is basically the quality of planning. Interior designing is making the internal spaces more qualitative, okay, with respect to their own subjects. But all the three are on the same building form. Okay, in architecture there are a lot of other varieties. An architect can be an urban designer, can be an urban planner, can be a landscape architect. A lot of subjects which are there with architecture. A civil engineer can become a PMC consultant, a structural designer, a supervisor, or anything else. That's with respect to civil. He is more into the implementing of the build form or designing the structure of the build form. We are into the space of the build form. And the interior designers are trying to get the quality of the interior sides of the build form. There are 2-3 different chapters altogether. And all are wonderfully interesting. They're all in their own way have their own interesting things. Our office gives all the three. But as far as civil engineering is concerned, the structural design, we have consultants design our buildings. Then we have civil engineering inspection engineer who are with our office. And with respect to architects, we have architectural teams. And with respect to interior designing, there are a lot of interior designers who are working. So all the three actually make a building beautiful. It's not just one person who makes beautiful design. I try to visualize a build form in a beautiful way that is being structurally making stand on the soil is what a civil engineer is being done. And the interior quality space is being designed by the interior design. So this is a combination of all the three. All three are different subjects but in hand, and all are linked with each other. You can say it's like one hand and different fingers. All are extended. Interior designing is basically an extension of architecture. Okay, all the subjects, landscaping, whether it is MEP, all are like a part of one forum and helping in different forms. So they are like one, what do you call this? This part with 5 different fingers, something like that. So the technology is different, the subject. In for civil engineers, you need a lot of mathematical things. They have to design the beams and the structure and the columns. There's a lot of mathematical calculations coming to it. That's pure mathematics. There's no art form of it. It's more of science. And interior designing is more of material inspection with respect to interiors. Architecture is 50-50. It's art form and build form. That's how it is.
So I would like to talk about the next thing is this that जो भी अभी उदयपुर में आने वाला टाइम है उसके अंदर what will be the new concepts or what will be the new designs which will be upcoming जैसे कि हेरिटेज जो कल्चर है अपना, या फिर जो मेवाड़ी कल्चर है, वो ही आगे ग्रो करेगा, या फिर जो मॉडर्न स्ट्रक्चर है वो उसको ओवरकम करेगा, या फिर उनका एक मिक्सअप चलेगा? सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक, हाउ थिंग्स आर गोना गो इन फ्यूचर?
ऐसा ऐसा नहीं होगा. See, this is answer this. See, time changes. Generally, what happens is 200 साल पहले अपन अलग थे, 100 साल पहले अपन अलग थे. अभी we are different. People change. Okay, our characters are changing, our logics are changing, our technology is changing. So, कोई जरूरत नहीं कि बिल्डिंग वैसी वैसी होना चाहिए. Yeah, but having said it, Udaipur, if you talk about Udaipur in Rajasthan, it's a very historical place. So हम बहुत हिस्ट्री के लिए जाने जाते हैं. So इम्पोर्टेंस देने के लिए काफी बार कैरेक्टर मेंटेन करना इज ऑलवेज गुड. मतलब अपन उदयपुर की जो ट्रेडिशनल आर्किटेक्चर जो है उसको इट हैज टू बी देयर. देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट, बिकॉज़ जिस हिसाब से हिस्ट्री अपना है उसको अपन रखते हैं. इट इज नथिंग बेटर देन राइट. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू बिल्ट फॉर्म, पुराना पैलेसेस का बिल्डिंग स्टाइल करने का तरीका लगता है, अब करने का तरीका नहीं. बिकॉज नाउ टेक्नोलॉजी इज lot of new technologies have come, minimalistic approach have come, right? So not necessarily every time you live in a palace. Now we are making houses in a different way. आज भी if you see it, major junk में, I generally do a lot of hotels, resorts and high-end residences. जो आज भी जो मैं resorts का hotels करते हूँ, वो सब traditional है mostly, because hotels and resorts try to encourage tourists from outside abroad, या maybe गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र. उनका अपनी कैरेक्टर, अपनी कल्चर दिखाने का एक मन होता है. All the hoteliers, I mean, whoever are designing it, they see that we need to put this Mewadi architecture logic into the building, because उसकी वजह से लोग आ रहे हैं. अपनी हिस्ट्री बहुत रिच है, अपनी आर्किटेक्चर कल्चर बहुत रिच है. We have a very typical Mewadi character. For to see that people come, I am very happy to do that. फर्स्ट थिंग, रेजिडेंसेस में आता हूँ बिकॉज पैलेसेस में अपनी आर्किटेक्चर बहुत अच्छा लगता है. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू स्मॉल प्लेसेस, नाउ स्पेस इज गेटिंग डिक्रीज. यू कैन नॉट मेक अ पैलेस एवरीवेयर. सो इसीलिए रेजिडेंसेस मिनिमलिस्टिक हो गया. बट स्टिल हैविंग सेड दिस, व्हेनेवर वी आर गेटिंग अ बिगर प्रोजेक्ट, वी आर मेकिंग ट्रेडिशनल हाउसेस. ट्रेडिशनल लॉजिक्स एंड कॉन्सेप्ट्स आर बीइंग यूज्ड. Not exactly the architecture, character वही नहीं है. मतलब इट्स लाइक जैसे पुराने टाइम में धोती पहनते थे, जीन्स आ गए, ठीक है, विच इज मोर कंफर्टेबल, धोती और जीन्स बोलना मुश्किल है. जो धोती पहनते हैं उनको लगता है धोती अच्छा, तो जीन्स पहन के जो यंगर जनरेशन है जीन्स अच्छा लगता है. तो इट्स टफ टू कंपेयर लाइक दैट. बट एट द सेम टाइम कैरेक्टर मेंटेन होना जरूरी है, ये मैं मानता हूँ, बिकॉज यू आर लिविंग इन सच ए हिस्टोरिकल प्लेस. व्हेन यू मेक सम बिल्ट फॉर्म, बेसिक उदयपुर कैरेक्टर जो है वो बिल्डिंग में झलकता है, अच्छा है. एटलीस्ट टेक दैट कैरेक्टर, उसकी तड़का थोड़ा लेना चाहिए. दैट इज देयर. एक कैरेक्टर मेंटेन करते हुए उदयपुर की एक अलग पहचान जो है वो पहचान लंबी रहेगी. हर जगह में मॉडर्न बिल्डिंग्स उदयपुर की पहचान धीरे धीरे खत्म हो गई. सो ओल्ड सिटी शुड नॉट चेंज. ओल्ड सिटी शुड बी लाइक दैट. द ट्रेडिशनल आर्किटेक्चर ही वहाँ बनना चाहिए. वहाँ ये शुड नॉट मेक एनी मॉडर्न स्ट्रक्चर इनसाइड द कैंपस or in and around that campus. Outside building the city, explore हो रहा है. वहाँ you can't stop people to make their own things. You know, obviously every architect has a different process. We are a free country, but still I feel government has to take some calls. At least character maintain करे. I mean, if you go to Germany or I mean any European countries, they maintain the character. आप कोई भी फार्म हाउस और कहीं कंट्री हाउस में जाता हो, तो एक कैरेक्टर मेंटेन होता है. जब अपनी इतने रिच कल्चरल हेरिटेज आर्किटेक्चर है, वी शुड मेंटेन दैट कैरेक्टर एटलीस्ट इन इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेसेस. दैट्स व्हाट आई थिंक. सो एक्सटिंक्ट तो होगा नहीं, दैट इज फॉर श्योर. रहेगा, नंबर रहेगा.
Hope so, sir. And that's what the purpose was about this question, that एक touch रहना चाहिए, that really helps. And I think government ने तो I think जो old city उसके अंदर constructions I think अभी बंद कर रखे हैं ज़्यादा, right? तो वो I think वो चीज़ को
rather I feel in my life it became an advantage for me. See, I am not from this place. I am from Visakhapatnam. So I have my roots are from south. So my first half is from Visakhapatnam second half में जो भी दूसरी जो है last 30 years I'm here, so I could get a mix of both the things, right? So being a South Indian, I have learned अंदर से अपने आप वो चीजें रह जाते हैं. The characters of South India is always there in me, but I've come here. मैं बड़े होने के बाद यहाँ आया हूँ, तो कुछ यहाँ देख देख के मैं सीखता हूँ. तो डेफिनेटली मेरी बिल्डिंग डिजाइन करता हूँ, उसकी कैरेक्टर इसकी कैरेक्टर थोड़ा झलकता ही झलकता है. दैट कम्स आउट. आप मेरी लैंग्वेज में इफ आई टॉक हिंदी, तभी अच्छा हिंदी सीख लिया, स्टिल अ पर्सन कैन मेक इट आउट दैट ही इज नॉट फ्रॉम दिस प्लेस. ओके, तो ये फर्क तो रहेगा. एडवांटेज ये है, जब when you're exposed to a lot of cities, you have your own style of keeping it. But I feel happy when what I've learned from Udaipur architecture or Mewar architecture, the Rajasthani architecture, that helped me a lot in my own practice. Because मेरे एक style of designing में हल्का सा इसकी character जो मैंने सीखा वो झलकता है. Somehow people are liking it कहीं ना कहीं. And because of this trait, I went national level, international level. तो कहीं ना कहीं ये स्टाइल पसंद आ रहा है. So thanks to Udaipur for that, because whatever I learned because of the character what is there already in Udaipur, उसी से ये कहीं ना कहीं ये झलक रहा went ahead, which is a good sign for me. And because of that character we were going ahead. जब मैं ज़ांज़ीबार में काम किया है, it's because of the reason I'm from Udaipur. There is also one point, क्योंकि मुझे जब introduce किया ना उन्होंने, the way they almost introduced me like Rajkumar, he is from Udaipur. I felt so happy on that day. The Prime Minister of Tanzania was there as chief guest. When I was being introduced as the architect of the project, you know, Udaipur को इतना prominence दिया. They said he's from the city of palaces. Okay, so my God, I mean, I felt so happy. That is the power of Udaipur. So why should that architect has to stay, and it will never be extinct. ये रहेगा, लंबा रहेगा. And I want it to be there.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's really great that आपने जैसा बताया आपकी. And मैंने भी ये देखा है कि बाहर जो लोगों ने जितना उदयपुर को इम्पोर्टेंस और एक बोल सकते हैं कि हेरिटेज साइट के तौर पे एक इम्पोर्टेंस दे रखी है, वो यहाँ पर थोड़ा कम लोकली देखने को मिलता है, बट yes, it is there outside. That's great to know.
So what I felt is like I struggled a lot when I started my practice. So I don't want that struggle to be done by the young architects. So I shared a lot of my struggles to a lot of youngsters, just to, you know, I mean, what you need to do to not to have this problem. Okay, if I have gone overcome this problem, कितनी जल्दी आप इस problem को cover कर सकते is what your speed is. So, thing is, you need to be more inspired. You need to be more exposed. Communication skills to improve. Every architect, every designer, improve your communication skills. There's a lot of talent people are there, but sometimes they don't know how to speak in front of a client. That, you know, when you're not able to express yourself properly, even good designs become a normal design. So that is one thing. Even normal design can look very good if you properly show it. And if design is good, there's no doubt about it. You need to showcase your own talent by way of communicating properly. So I would say the younger architects, all the designers, young budding architects or designers, you need to improve your communication skills, your presentation skills, because how you show is very important. Then your perception level. Perception level is what I mean to say is like when you see something, how can you adapt that good element into your own building? It's not copying, getting inspired by that element, and how differently you can put it. That logic, if they can get it faster, they can do it more. So, and then I always call 3 I's: intelligence, imagination, and innovation. Intelligence comes with your own genes and your own hard work. Imagination is what you practice. Innovation comes only from exposure. You need to talk to a lot of people which podcast is going here. Because, I mean, you must have interviewed a lot of people. The same question you ask and you get a lot of different answers. With that, you will be learning something. Okay, these set of answers. You can always take the best answer and apply it yourself. Same, if the young budding artist can learn this, जितनी जल्दी सीखते हैं उतनी तेज वो आगे जाएंगे. So 3 I's and communication skills. These three are, I mean, this is properly done. There's no stopping for them. Small thing I could tell them is get focused on these things and rest all will fall in place.
Like, really a perfect advice. Just out of curiosity, कभी ऐसा हुआ है that any incident in which your client is like that, I want to make this or I want this structure or anything, and you know that this is not good and or this will not be this will not look good. So how you handle that situation or how you convince?
I think honesty. I try to be very honest with the client. See, I'm a consultant for you. He has to believe me. And why will I make something wrong for him? Fine. You're trusting me, so trust my abilities to the fullest of the extent. But sometimes client gives wonderful ideas. Sometimes, not every time. But you should not listen just for the sake of that they're paying you money. No. You are the consultant. You be honest with your profession. Whatever you feel right, because you are the person who is more experienced in that field. You have been educated in that same subject. You have काफी साल subject मार रहे हो उस subject में. You have to be good in that. So you have to be honest with your consultancy. I generally do what I like, what I think is right, and luckily we have a team which supports that. And without team we are nothing. It's not an individualistic subject. Architecture, any designing subject is a team game. So if we don't have a team properly, I might take a wrong decision sometimes. So the team has to guide me. It's a team which takes a decision. Being the leader of the team, I mean, the onus is on me, the responsibility is on me, but it is mostly the team. And the team speaks to the client, it's not just an individual. But luckily, clients have that respect on me. If I say no, they'll obviously not do it. But out of 100 times, we get resistance. And yes, we fight. We fight because it is for him. We are fighting because it is his house or his building. I want at the end that to be good. Okay. And he also knows it. And we are taking money for it. So, पैसा लेके कोई गलत राय नहीं देता कभी. And to the best of the abilities हम try करते हैं. But still, sometimes clients wins. But the early time हो जाते हैं. But nowadays, we try to convince the client the best of the communication what we can have, because we think that most of the time we are right, because with experience you tend to get right most of the times. Okay, because we have already done that wrong thing. एक बार कर चुके होंगे. We know sir ये करने से ये problem आएगा. Now you think he obviously understand. Yeah, but we do get resistance. We still getting. We got the resistance today itself. So it's fine, and that happens. And that's okay.
Thank you so much for staying connected with us. That was it from this episode. I hope you learned a lot out of this episode and enjoyed it. If you like it, please share it with your friends and family members. And in the end, I would really like to thank sir that he has shared their opinion and everything. So thank you so much, sir, for coming on this episode.
Thank you very much. Same with me. Even I enjoyed it. Thanks. Please like it and subscribe it. I'll be very happy, and obviously the team of Inspiro will be very happy.